Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a parental information presentation on project-based learning in mathematics. My name is Richard Batts. I'm a current biology teacher at Central York High School. So some of you might be wondering, what is the big deal with project-based learning? Why do our kids need to learn this way? We were taught in the conventional manner to learn mathematics, and we turned out just fine. Why are we trying to switch it now? So hopefully through this short presentation I can kind of show you what project-based learning is, some of the impacts that it has on your children, along with some of the activities that they might be doing in the classroom, and hopefully kind of opening your mind to this project-based learning initiative. So first and foremost, a couple different research articles to show you about project-based learning. So the first study was titled The Effectiveness of Project-Based Learning in Mathematics. Both studies that I'm going to show you, their links to the direct PDF article is on the final page of this presentation if you would like to access it for more information. However, kind of some of the main highlights, the study found that project-based learning has a high effectiveness in the mathematics classroom. So they used 30 students for a conventional type of lesson, and then 30 students for a project-based learning lesson. These students were chosen based on their previous scores, and they did use a pre-test and post-test in order to kind of evaluate the effectiveness of each. So the students in the project-based learning groups had higher post-test scores. I know, getting those grades are very important to you guys. You want your children to, be prepared and do as well as possible. Well, right here we can now highlight that higher grades come from project-based learning. We can help them achieve those higher grades. Student understanding was also another big concept that was hit through this study, and their ability to use concepts in real life. So I know some of you sit there and you might think back on high school, middle school, elementary school and be like, why did I have to learn that? I've never used it. Well, when we think about it, we probably have used a lot of things that we've learned, but we just didn't know we were using it. Using the project-based learning approach can help to show the students where these concepts are going to be in real life, how to use them. I know from a science perspective, I have students who come into my classroom and don't know how to carry the things over from what they learned in math class over to my class. And I think this is a big issue because the students don't know why they're learning what they're learning. Using the project-based learning approach, they now get that answer of, why do I have to learn this? Why is this important? And how is this going to affect me later in life? So that was just one study. The second study was titled Comparison of Learning Effectiveness of Problem-Based Learning and Conventional Method of Teaching Algebra. So now we're going to focus in on an algebra class. So again, this study found that there was significantly higher achievement when project-based learning was used. This one had a huge population that they studied. So I know last study we only had 30 and 30. Now we have 211 students were used for the conventional approach compared to the 236 for the project-based learning approach. So now we have a much bigger pool to get this information from. So students, they use the Student Algebra Achievement Test. They use this as the pre-test and post-test, which had 25 multiple choice, 7 essays, and was scored out of 100 points. Each teacher, the teachers that had the students, all had similar qualifications. They all taught for 3 years or more, and they all went through training in how to do the conventional, how to do the project-based learning, so that they were all on the same page with that. Another kind of aspect that correlated with this to kind of keep it a control was that all teachers had the exact same amount of time. They all had 4 weeks, same length in the number of periods, and same time in those periods. So again, with this test, much higher sample, significantly higher post-test scores in algebra when taught using the project-based learning. So kind of these two studies kind of highlight the importance of project-based learning. Now test scores are going to be higher, you're going to be able to make those connections in real life, and you're going to be able to work on those 21st century skills. And now I know we haven't touched on those 21st century skills, but that problem solving is going to be a big 21st century skill. With the technology that's out, employers are looking for employees that can solve the problems that they have. And having this project-based learning helps students become problem solvers and critical thinkers. So you might be wondering, what your children rather, are doing in a math classroom that might be with the PBL initiative. We'll kind of, before we jump into that, one other highlight of project-based learning that I like to touch on is it's giving the students the control of the classroom. Now I know that might freak some of you out, but tell us what you think. Instead of me telling the students what to think, what to do, now they're going to tell me. They're going to take this project and they're going to explain their mastery of this content back to me. They're telling me how they interpreted it, which I think is really cool because it's giving the voice and choice back to the students. They're the ones that we're focusing on, so they should have a voice as well. And then kind of that little comic on the right there, I just found it funny because it's kind of where we're at right now. So we're expecting all these different things, all these creative thinkers, problem solvers, strong communication skills, collaboration skills, all these to be instilled into our students, and yet we're telling them exactly what to do. So this goes back to that voice and choice where we're giving them the option to come back. We're giving them the critical thinking skills. So the comic right there kind of says, I expect you all to be independent, innovative, critical thinkers who do exactly as I say. So we want to get away from that. We want the students to have their voice and choice and be critical thinkers, be true critical thinkers, not just doing what we tell them to do. So some of the activities that you might see, these are just two examples. I have the link down below there. But when you're learning geometry, on that left side picture, this one right over here, learning geometry, right? We can sit there in the classroom and do all the geometry problems on the board, give homework, and have you repeat it at home, or we can have you be engaged. We can have them build a city, their own city, using geometry, using these concepts. Notice the grid on the bottom here. They have to map it out and to figure out how big these dimensions are, how much space they're going to take up, and build their city that correlates from that, which is a very cool concept. And again, we're getting the students, your children, engaged in learning. So now they have real life application of this concept that they're learning. On the other side over here, a much younger scale, but kind of teaching students to count, a basic concept that can be made engaging and fun. So Nerf guns, you can use it with beanbags or any other type of throwing device, I guess you could say. And you have these cups set up, and whatever ones you knock over, you have to add up. So it's teaching you to kind of do that simple math in an engaging way. You can also manipulate this for math, for multiplication or division. Subtraction would work as well. So there's a whole lot of different concepts in here to promote that project-based learning. Now I know the one on the right doesn't seem like a project-based learning activity. It's more or less a STEM activity, but we can still have students create ways that they can learn addition, subtraction. They might come up with this. You might give them this an example and then ask them to create a different way in order to learn these rules of multiplication, division, addition, or subtraction. So here are my references that I talked about. Both links here go to the two studies that I had, and then you have this link down here for the activities. So overall, I hope that you guys enjoyed my presentation. I hope you guys have now an open mind into the project-based learning, what it is, and kind of what your children can be expected of in a project-based learning classroom. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.